Hey everybody, welcome back to War Budgies. I am John from War Budgies. So last year what we did was a 5-minute breakdown video of how to play Warcaster Neo Mechanica, just the basics of it. And since then I've had a lot of really cool requests from people to do 5-minute breakdowns of other games. So today we're going to look at Monsterpocalypse. Now Monsterpocalypse is another game by Privateer Press, the same folks who made Warcaster, War Machine, Hordes, Riot Quest, and all that stuff. And it actually has a new bunch of starter sets that are releasing on May 28th. So I figured this was a good time to drop this video, show you guys sort of how the game works so you can get a feel of whether or not it's for you. So whether you're new to tabletop gaming in general or just kind of curious about Monsterpocalypse, I'm going to take the next 5 minutes and just explain the basics of how this game functions. Monsterpocalypse is a fast-paced monster brawling tabletop miniatures game where players take control of enormous creatures and machines to do battle and wreck cityscapes. Each player's force is made up of 3 kinds of model. Units, which are small minions who can seize territory and secure bonuses for their side. Buildings, static structures, which can be controlled by either side to grant access to special abilities. And monsters, the titanic namesakes of Monsterpocalypse. When all of your opponent's monsters are destroyed, you win the game. The dice in Monsterpocalypse are called strike dice, which show either 1, 2, or 0 strikes when rolled. These are simply added together to get the result of the roll. At the beginning of the game, each player's monsters face off from opposite sides of a grid map, which represents the battlefield, populated by buildings from both players. 10 white action dice are then placed in each player's unit pool. When dice from the unit pool are spent, they are transferred to the monster pool, and vice versa. Players take alternating turns and can choose to take either a unit turn or a monster turn when it is their go, as long as they have action dice in the relevant pool. When a player takes a unit turn, they may spawn units by paying the unit's cost in action dice and placing the units onto friendly spawn points on the board. These Carnodons cost 1 action die each, and the expended die are placed in the monster pool after being used. Once the spawn phase is finished, each unit can then advance up to its speed and game tiles. If 3 units are adjacent to a building, that player then controls the building and has access to its special abilities. Units may then attack. Attacks in Monsterpocalypse are grouped into brawl or melee attacks against adjacent targets, and blast or ranged attacks, which can hit targets up to the attack's range. In this example, the Dire Ant has a defense of 3, so the Carnodon has to roll 3 strikes or higher on his brawl attack in order to hit. The attacker must spend at least 1 action die to attack, but can add any available action die still in the unit pool up to the maximum shown on the card, in this case 2. The attacker also receives any bonus blue boost die shown on the attack for free. For this attack, the Carnodon chooses to use his maximum of 2 white action die from the unit pool, plus his 2 free blue boost die, and gets a total of 4 strikes. Since he has matched or exceeded the Ant's defense of 3, the attack hits. Most attacks deal 1 point of damage, which is enough to destroy units and buildings. Units which are destroyed are removed from play and set aside to be respawned on later turns. Buildings which are destroyed usually leave behind burning rubble, which can create deadly hazards that damage anyone who moves across it. At the end of the unit turn, the player can push any remaining action dice to the monster pool if they wish, and their turn ends. Where unit turns typically revolve around gaining bonuses and controlling territory, monster turns are for destruction. A monster turn begins with a power-up phase, where the player builds a pool of devastating red power dice, 1 for each building they control, and 1 for each power zone occupied by a friendly unit during the unit turn. Monsters can then advance up to their speed, just like units do, and may also spend action dice from the monster pool to take extra steps if they need to. All spent action dice are returned to the unit pool. Monsters attack with brawls and blasts just like units, but typically roll many more dice when they do. Further, when monsters spend dice to attack, they can add the red dice from their power pool to enhance their strikes to incredible levels. In addition to brawls and blasts, monsters have access to devastating power attacks, which they can use for a number of special moves, such as rampaging through units and buildings, body slamming other monsters, or even picking up their opponents and hurling them across the map. Monster attacks still normally deal only 1 damage, but the clever use of power attacks can make that much higher. In this example, Terra Khan chooses to power attack Zizarax in order to throw him backwards into a building. He hits Zizarax's defense with his attack, dealing 1 damage. Zizarax then takes a 2nd damage as he collides with and knocks down a building, and a 3rd damage from the burning hazard created by the collapsed building, for a total of 3 damage dealt from a single attack. After they're done attacking, a player can push any number of action die from the monster pool back to the unit pool, and their turn ends. As monsters lose health, they eventually break from their alpha form into a powerful hyper form, escalating their attacks and sometimes losing or gaining special abilities. When a monster's health reaches 0, it is destroyed, and when all of one side's monsters are destroyed, the game is over. Now obviously there's a lot more to Monsterpocalypse than I can fit into a 5-minute video, but hopefully that gives you guys an idea of the basics, how the game functions, and helps you figure out whether or not it's for you. If I've piqued your interest about Monsterpocalypse, I will put a link in the description below to both the rulebook and the official tutorial that's put out by Privateer Press, which goes much more in depth into things like power attacks, cover, and how the mechanics work with each other. In the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed our latest How to Play in 5-Minute video, and thanks for watching.